Good evening. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. If anybody would like an agenda, I believe they are right outside the door. And before we get started, I will ask Chairman Steve Soul to please stand and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we have the annual report dedication. I'm going to let Mike Roy handle this.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. It's always a special time once a year when we present the annual report, which is put out once a year, to a certain individual who's meant a lot to the city of Waterville. This is put out primarily with the help of Patty, our city clerk, who resurrected this report. It had gone by the wayside for many years. This is fourth or fifth year it's back. Yep. Sarah in my office helps a lot with this too. So we have copies of the full report at City Hall, if anyone would like a copy. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough to give out tonight. But what we did give out, I hope you all have a copy, is the dedication page within the report. Because the 2017-18 report is dedicated to Charles. We all know him as Fred Stubbert. Fred, can you come up, please? Now, Fred started out okay because he was born in Waterville, but he made the mistake of going to Oakland for a while. But you were very young. And I was born here, went to school here. There aren't many people I know in the city of Waterville that love the city as much as he does. And that love has shown with all the different boards, committees, things that he's been involved with for many, many years, on the school board, on the city council, on the Alphon Youth Board for 22 years. Can't find a better, more dedicated sports booster than Fred Stubbert. But what he really has meant to the city of Waterville over his term on the city council was the fact that we had a lot of building projects that went on. The Opera House renovation, the fire station expansion, the police station.
The library.
Let's not forget the library. Not one of our favorite ones, right? No, not one of our favorite ones. A lot of work done at City Hall, too. And with Fred's engineering background, it was a huge help to have someone on the council at that time that had that background and experience. And so it was very, very helpful for staff to be able to have someone that we can rely on for that kind of advice and support. So we're very pleased to have this year's report dedicated to Fred. And Fred, if you'd like to say a few words, I'll get out of the way.
Well, I want to thank Mike, the mayor, and the council for this award. It's greatly appreciated. And what Mike said about me being a booster of Waterville is true. Probably only a few of you grew up in Waterville. I suspect that's the case, probably the same in the audience. But I grew up in Waterville when Waterville was a dynamic, growing place that was extremely special, that provided world-class politicians, governors, our sports teams, including Colby, won state championships. Waterville has won 6 New England championships, 3 in hockey. Is that correct, Mike? 3?
2 in hockey.
2 in hockey, okay, 5 championships. 2 in cross country and 1 in basketball, the 1944 team. So this has always been a very special place for me, and I grew up here. As Mike said, I lived in Oakland for a while, went through the 8th grade there, and then went my 4 years of high school in Waterville. and was able to play sports myself. So I have a special place in my heart for Waterville, for the people of Waterville, and I urge you all to be patient. The city is making a comeback. With Kobe's help, it's undergoing a renaissance, and I expect that this will increase over time. At the time I was on the Board of Education, we had the top educational program in the state. We've slipped. I talked to Eric one day about it, and I said, do we still have the basis for that system? He said, yes. He said, the clientele has changed tremendously over the last 10 or 20 years, but gradually it's going to go back as housing is improved and new houses are built. So I have a lot of faith in what's going to happen in Waterville. And that's why this is even more important to me, that what I've done has been recognized, and I appreciate that. So again, thank you all.
Thank you, Fred. Councilor Mayhew would like to say a few words. Go ahead.
When I first became a councilor back in 2015, Fred Stubbert was the first person that came and took me by the arm and said, let's go have a meeting. We went over to Tim Hortons and we had a meeting together. And I'm telling you right now, this man, every corner of his life is about community service. Such a wealth of experience and knowledge. You know, I really commend him coming into my life and showing me the ropes and being a mentor to me like he has been to so many people's lives. I mean, Fred, you've touched so many lives in this community, both on a family level, on a community level. You know, I really give you so much credit for the type of person that you are. And I remember many a council meeting where we would have the tussles between John and Fred, and you know, the humor, the laughter, the character, just really brought a special spice to the council meetings when Fred was there. So I take my hat off to you, Fred. I salute you for everything that you've done. I know that you're going to continue to do because you're a restless soul. You never tire. You're always working. And I just want to say God bless you for what you've done for the city. Thank you, Fred.
That's very nice. Thank you. Next, we have a disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there any counselor who feels they have a conflict of interest with the votes they'll take tonight?
I believe I have one.
Okay.
Resolution 197, 2018, declaring a vacancy for the council seat of Ward 2. So,
All right, we'll mark you down as a conflict on that. All right, next up is the approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
so moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? New business, Resolution 194, 2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
An order providing for approval of forfeiture.
Move to adopt.
Second.
I'd like to say that we need to make a change to that number. It's supposed to be $502.50.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Could I get a, all in favor of the amendment? And could I get a motion to move as amended?
Move as amended.
Second.
All right, Patty, could I get a roll call, please?
Counselor Sol?
Yes.
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Mayhew?
Yes.
Counselor Coelho?
Yes.
Counselor Tate?
Yes.
Counselor DuPont?
Yes.
Vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
And I read that wrong. That was Order 191, 2018. So, now new business, Resolution 194, 2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
A resolution providing for issuance of a victualer's license to Zing Wang Restaurant Incorporated, doing business as Pagoda Express.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Resolution 194, 2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
It's actually 195, but that's
Jeez.
okay. A resolution providing for issuance of a liquor license to Zing Wang Incorporated, doing business as Pagoda Express.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Resolution 196, 2018.
A resolution providing for ratification of collective bargaining agreement, Police Commanding Officers Unit. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council, acting as municipal officers, that the City Council ratify a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Waterville and the Maine Association of Police for a 3-year term effective July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2021 for the Waterville Police Commanding Officers Unit.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion on this?
Finally, we started negotiations in March, so it's been a long haul, but we were able to achieve our main objective, which was a reduction in the health insurance costs to the city. And we got that done. I don't think we had to sacrifice too much to get it, so I encourage you to approve this.
Mike, where does this leave us with the other half, with the police officers union?
Right, the police department is divided into 2 unions. One represents the commanding officers, which is this one. The other union represents the patrol officers, the guys that are out on the street, pretty much. And so that second unit has decided to, well, they're trying to decide about breaking away from the Maine Association of Police, whatever that proper term is, the same unit that represented the commanders. They're talking about breaking away from this representation and taking on a new union rep, which certainly is not going to help to get quick resolution to that contract, but that's their right to change. They have to take a vote, finally, all of the members do, in order to switch from MAP to this other place that they're
Correct me
thinking.
if I'm wrong, this will send a positive step, or a positive signal to that particular union by the commanders.
It should. It should send us a couple of signals that, like you say, and also I think it'll send a signal that this is what we intend to settle on. Because we've done it with every other union. And there's one left, and that's fire in the spring. It's the only one that we haven't gotten to the insurance on.
Sydney, just wanted to remind you that, you know, as a council, for the past 2 years, every contract has been the same, right?
Yes.
And unfortunately, we'll be losing him as our council rep on the negotiations, so
You
I
just
mentioned
stole my
this.
line, Mike.
In the event there's a counselor going forward that wants to do the role that Steve did in attending negotiation sessions, it certainly helps to increase the communication between council and staff.
Yeah, I would encourage, I know Eric's here, I would encourage some counselor to step forward. Steve, I want to thank you. That has been tremendous. It completely changed how we do union negotiating. There never used to be a council representative in, and it was very difficult, as you can imagine, for the city manager and attorney to try to, in our human resources department, to try to communicate back and forth when there wasn't that link. And Steve, you provided that with a lot of professionalism. I want to thank you. I certainly hope that we get a new volunteer to step into those shoes and take over that, because I think it's invaluable,
Yeah, it is.
that perspective.
That perspective, to have somebody that can say, these other people are not going to vote on this.
Right,
I'm going to vote.
Yep.
And this is how I'm going to vote.
yeah.
Yep. I would show the interest in that.
All right. Any comments on the current contract? Are we ready to vote? All right, all in favor? Next, Resolution 197, 2018.
A resolution providing for declaring a vacancy for City Council seat in Ward 2. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows, that the City Council seat for Ward 2 is hereby declared vacant due to the resignation of Nathaniel White effective December 31st, 2018. Be it further resolved that the city clerk is directed to advertise this open City Council seat and request that all interested applicants submit a written statement of interest to the city clerk's office by 5:00 p.m. on Thursday, January 10, 2019.
Move to adopt.
Second.
So you got to get used to not having Nathaniel for that. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Next is Resolution 198, 2018.
A resolution providing for contract award advanced EMT training. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers as follows, that the City Council hereby agrees to accept the bid price of $40,000 from United Ambulance to conduct a program for advanced EMT training as further explained in the attached memorandum.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm going to provide a brief intro. Sean Essler, our fire chief, is here in the event you have questions. This grant is something that Sean applied for last spring, and FEMA approved it in the fall, and the council approved or accepted the grant in the fall. Now we're back here tonight because we're ready to spend the money, and we need your approval to do that. It's for advanced EMT training, not only for Waterville, but also for some regional providers too. Sean has done a great job in finding this source of money and making it available for our people to be as well-trained as possible. The memo he provided gives you some of the background, but Sean will be glad to answer any questions, provide a little bit more info if I've missed something.
So right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Waterville's licensed at the basic level for EMT care. And this is advanced, so are you going to petition and get a license as advanced EMTs on the fire department
So
now?
we are licensed at the EMT basic level. However, we're permitted to the advanced life support level at this time. So we have advanced life support providers in the department already that are already performing those functions today. So this will just bring some of the other staff in the building that are licensed at the basic level to a higher standard.
What is the difference between basic and advanced?
So the difference between basic EMTs or advanced EMTs would be like IVs, medication, some more advanced medication, and some advanced cardiac monitoring. And obviously a broader scope of practice in the pre-hospital setting.
I think it's great, I really do. Just for a little background, I knew somebody who lived out in Sydney that had to call the ambulance, and it took them 25 minutes to get there in Sydney. And you got Waterville right here, and their response time is, it's pretty.
I did the numbers the other day, and we had a couple errors in the system where a couple calls showed 720 minutes response time. But even with that error in the system, we had a 3.86 minute response time here in the city. So that's just under 4 minutes from the time somebody dials 911 till the time they get a advanced provider on scene. And to be honest with you, that's very impressive.
That it.
That's the average.
Any other discussion or questions?
Yep.
Okay.
Sean, what gives United Ambulance more of an edge on Delta in doing this?
Well, that's a great question. Actually, Delta can't provide the training. There are only 4 or 5 training centers that are licensed by Maine EMS to actually put on this training. So Delta cannot provide us this training, even if they wanted to. And trust me, that was our first contact that we made.
I want to commend you, Sean, for this grant, participating in this, and of course obtaining it.
Appreciate it.
I think it's a very important that we invest time and money and resources into our first responders. I think, I can't think of anybody in the community that wouldn't want to do that. I just commend you for what you've done and what you continue to do. And I'm looking forward to a lot more surprises from you in the future.
Well, I really appreciate that. The credit is not all mine, of course. It belongs to the fire department. They do great work every single day, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. And we really appreciate the council's support in this. I know I speak on behalf of everybody there that they really appreciate this. And anytime that we can get some training here in the city, we get some guys going to it, guys and girls going to it, that really boosts morale. So we really appreciate this. And like I said, out of the two vendors that we had, United was the better choice for a multitude of reasons. Yep. Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? And last under new business, Order 199, 2018.
For the last time, move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
An order providing for approval of forfeiture.
Move to adopt.
Is there discussion?
I'd like to give a brief intro, and I'm glad Joe was able to join us. I know he had an emergency, but what we want to do is just give you some background on this, because it's a very large amount, and we have a pressing need with our dispatch that we want to be able to use this money for. So this takes 2 votes. Tonight's the first one. The next meeting would be the second one. And at the next meeting is when we'd like to give you, or ask you, for permission on how to spend it. But I'd like to ask Joe to just give you a brief explanation of what it is we're looking at for purchase.
Good evening. We're looking to purchase what we call fire protocols. They're the same as emergency dispatching protocols, which are used by communications and PSAP centers now, that whenever they get a call and it's an emergency medical call, they have a protocol that they follow. It's a software system program. What they want to do is standardize and use best practices for both dispatching emergency medical calls and now fire protocols. So it's a technology, and as you can imagine, it's pretty darn expensive, and so we'd like to use this money to integrate that software system into our communication center here so that we have the ability to dispatch for fire protocols and avoid being charged down the road from a PSAP if we don't acquire those fire protocols.
So you're buying software to make sure that we act in best practices?
Yes, that's what the...
Is that a regulatory requirement that you think you get fined down the road for not doing that? Is that what you're saying?
No, but we could be charged for those services from another PSAP that delivers them now. And so we also dispatch for other communities, and so they would expect that we would have those fire protocols, because if we don't, then they have to go shopping for an agency that does.
Can you just explain as an example when you say protocol? So because it's very abstract what it is you're buying when you say, what do you mean protocols? Can you?
The fire protocols are a software program that allows every dispatcher in the state to dispatch and ask the same questions when a fire call comes in. And that's the same way with the emergency medical dispatching. So if someone calls up and says, my spouse is having a heart attack, the dispatchers look at the emergency medical dispatching protocol and they go right through the numbers. So no one is trying to give medical information off the top of their head. And so the fire protocols are best practices on how you should dispatch a fire call and what questions you should ask. So they're all standard. So every dispatcher in the state is asking the same thing, dispatching fire calls in the same manner.
That doesn't remove human judgment, does it?
Remove what?
More like, I mean, and forgive me, I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm really trying to understand this a little bit better. I mean, it seems like it's just, I mean, there is some human judgment in that rather than, I mean, Rather, I mean, you're just getting a pop-up list of questions to ask.
Right. Well, they want to take out a lot of discretion because they found that in the past, discretion leads to a lot of questions that are irrelevant or they don't elicit the information that you should have, time's of the essence. And if everyone uses that standardized process, then everyone's on the same page. You're using best practices.
So are you saying that you're giving good guidance while we're waiting that 3 minutes that Sean talked about? Kind of, right?
Well, right.
Yeah.
But this, this will eliminate someone else doing fire protocols for us while they're on the phone with the caller. And once they get done those fire protocols, say, now hold on, I'm transferring you to Waterville.
That's the piece that I thought was so
We would
critical.
get the call, transfer it to us, we would do the fire protocols. All the PSAPs had fire protocols phased in over the last 2 years, but they had the state pay for the protocol because they're state PSAPs. But dispatching agencies like us, if we want that fire protocol, which we need not only for us, but for the customers that we serve, then we have to purchase it.
Oh. Yeah, just hand them a piece
Now-
of paper, I guess.
The people that contract with us will pay more further on down the road, more likely, or?
But they're going to pay from some.
Okay, and is this gonna cover the cost of that entire program, or you guys are gonna come back and ask for more later?
Well, at some point, that's a discussion I got to have with the city manager when we renew our contracts. What do we want to charge? Let me just add this now that we've given out this information. If we don't purchase these fire protocols, now that Somerset County has integrated those fire protocols into their dispatch center, they are going to start charging us. Right now, we're in the middle of a one-year contract, and it's my understanding that they're not going to charge us anything at this time, but we could see an increase July 1st of 19 of 15 cents per capita, and the following year, 30 cents per capita. So in 2 years, we could see an increase of $8,000, and then whatever increases come after that. So everyone's going to pay for it. It's just a matter of who you're going to pay them to.
So this is being driven by the state government, is that correct? Am I mistaken in that?
Well, the state is mandating fire protocols.
Right, that's what I mean.
Integrated to PSAPs.
Right,
So what happens if dispatch centers don't keep up?
yeah.
So would this
I
new,
just want to point out to people here that we constantly pay for continued state mandates, but
so would this new software allow us to bring those services in-house and make it more affordable and keeping up with?
raise our fees next time.
We're bringing it in-house. is what you're
Right,
saying.
it'll be in-house, yes. We
Right.
will have those fire protocols in the Waterville Police Department, in the communication center that our dispatchers will obviously have access to. We already do emergency dispatching in our communication center.
And then theoretically, we could renegotiate contracts with other communities that we provide services for, because now we will be providing
However, if you still, we call 911 right now, we still go to Somerset first,
still go to
and then
Somerset.
they transfer to you.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But because we'll have, well, as I said, we have EMD services now, if we have the fire protocols, then that eliminates another agency doing that for us and then transferring the calls to us. It makes much more sense for us to provide that service so that we're actually talking to the person who's having or asking for those services, not having another agency provide it, and then when they're done, say, hold the line, we're now going to transfer you to Waterville.
So they'll just get transferred here right from the get-go.
I'm sorry, it's okay.
They'll get transferred here right from the get-go, once we
Yes.
have this.
Yep. Yep.
And we'll come back at your next meeting with a full proposal on exactly how the money's going to be spent.
Great. Is that going to require us to hire any new staff doing this?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
Chief?
I just have one comment. I just wanted to say, just had one comment. It is absolutely critical that they have these fire dispatch protocols because the 911 caller that stands on the outside of the building that dials 911, I need them in contact with my dispatch center so that when I radio in my operations, that I'm talking directly with the dispatcher that's talking with the 911 caller. It is absolutely critical that they have these, in my opinion.
So we're updating in real time, rather than having another agency doing it, transferring the call to us. And we missed all that information. So as I've always said, you know, the more steps you put into an emergency process, the more likely for a mistake to occur. So we've reduced one of those steps by having us do the dispatching for both of those protocols.
I agree. I just, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It just is amazing to me that the state mandates that you get all this expensive software rather than just being allowed to train your people to do it. But it's the way of the world, I guess.
It would cost money to train people too.
Not that much. Okay. Thank you. We'll take a vote. All in favor? And next up is community notes. Community notes is a time where if anybody has something they would like to say or speak about that was not on the agenda tonight, now would be the time to do it. We just ask that you come to the podium, state your name, tell us where you live and what you have to say. Is there anybody for community notes?
Super quick question. It's not really a community note. Green Finch, Ward 6. Can I put my recycling out and it'll actually get recycled this week?
It's not a question.
And if not this week, can I do it next week?
You can do it next week as long as it's not on Christmas Day.
Which will be
or-
Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Yes.
I believe for Christmas Day, Tuesday, they're picking up on Wednesday. So you can put it out Wednesday, okay?
I can put it out Wednesday.
I know it sounds a little strange.
I've been holding on to my recycling and I am now at peak hold. So I would really like to get rid of it. So not this week, but next week I can put it out.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm planning on that the dual packer
Yeah.
truck to be in operation next week.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Very good.
Julian Payne, Ward 5. I just wanted to let the community know that we also have a vacancy on the school board for seat 2, so there's something in the drinking water
Whoa, Ward 2.
in Ward 2. We're losing a lot of people. But I did meet with Eric today, and he felt that we were interviewing for candidates at the next school board meeting on the 12th of January. But I don't recall voting already to have declared the seat null and void. So maybe Patty and Mike can give some guidance about.
Oh, those are your rules, dude.
Well, no, we follow we follow the city charters. We follow the city charters rules for the school board, actually. So I know we're interviewing the next school board meeting on the 12th, but I'm not sure that we declared the seat null and void. So maybe we could declare a meeting to do that, to speed it up, I'm not sure. And also some guidance to the community about the next step for the Ward 2 council seat, what happens as of now. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I would just take a minute. We have 3 counselors that are leaving after tonight. Counselor DuPont, Counselor Soul, and Nathaniel. And I just want to say, on behalf of the city, thank you. It's not been easy. It's been a rough couple years. We haven't, but we've been able to do a lot of good in between all of the disagreements. I still think together, you guys were able to get a lot done, and I appreciate it. And I wish you the best, and thank you for your service. Yes, Counselor.
I also would like to second that with Jackie, Steve, and Nathaniel. It's been a pleasure and an honor to work with all 3 of you. We've done a lot of collaborating. We've done a lot of different things throughout the time that we spent together, and I just want to say I appreciate your service here to the city of Waterville, and I hope all 3 of you will continue to remain active in the community and give your advice and show up for meetings and continue to be mentors for the city of Waterville.
Except for Nate, because he's going to Fairfield.
I would like to echo those comments as well. I've learned a lot working with you three, and I appreciate all the hard work you've put in for Waterville, and you will be missed, so please come back. And thank you.
And you really want our advice, didn't he?
Is there anybody else for community notes? Michael, we're at the manager's report.
I have 3 items. No, they're not going to be that long. Tomorrow morning, we have a meeting in Augusta with Department of Transportation, the Federal Highway Administration, Colby, the city, to talk about the project that could happen out on Main Street. I say could happen because you, the council, still have to vote to accept the money. I hope that can be some point, maybe in January. We certainly want to allow plenty of time for public comment, questions, for you to ask questions of us. The meeting tomorrow is really just a planning session to talk about a timetable and all the different pieces so that when we do have a public hearing, we'll be a lot better equipped to answer questions from people about when might this happen, how would this look, some of that kind of stuff. So that's tomorrow morning. Second item, unless anybody has any questions on that, Main Street project. Last week, the city attorney and code enforcement went to 19 Western Avenue. Remember, that's a building that had been burned. Council took an action. The property owner appealed the decision. It was decided to send both parties there to look, which is what happened last week. And the agreement with Mr. Poulin and his attorney that day was that Mr. Poulin would come back at the end of December with a plan for when he would start work and when it would finish. And so we're going to come back and report to you early January about what he submitted for a plan. So I think it was a positive development to go there and go through that exercise. Last item, Marijuana Study Committee met last night. Councilor Tate was there. I think 1 or 2 people in the audience were also there. They hope to wrap up their work by January 7th. So in probably your second meeting in January, the Marijuana Study Committee would come to you with a set of recommendations on how they think we should proceed. Of course, you can accept those, reject them, do a combination of both, accept some, reject some, be your call. But they've done a lot of good work in getting, I think, getting us ready to the point of saying, it's coming. If we're going to have some of it in the city, then we need to have some reasonable rules and regs. And I think that's what you'll see from the committee.
I'd just like to add that we will be asking for an extension of the moratorium for 3 months so that there's sufficient time for public comment and public forums on the proposed ordinances, and so there's an opportunity for people to really digest and weigh in. So that's going to be happening as well.
Our current moratorium expires January 18th. So you're right. Thank you, Councilor Tate. We're going to come back to the council and ask for a 3-month extension. Like you say, to give people plenty of time.
And to the new counselors coming on, I'm on that committee, and they have done, well, I was on that committee. They have done their due diligence, and they're working very hard. So what they bring to you has been well thought out.
That's it for me.
Motion to adjourn. Oh, sorry.
We were told that we could give advice. I just want to say one more thing before you leave. If there's a grant commonly referred to as a gift, 7.3 million, and you don't take it, this council will be crazy.
Hear, hear. See, we end on agreement.
Motion to adjourn.